Okello read the letter, he put it away and asked for Sergeant Mike to go ahead and say what he had wanted to say before the arrival of the letter had interrupted him. And he never spoke about it, threw it away. Okay. Now, there are other characters in the cast of characters, but for time purposes, we are not going to go through all of them. In the text which I will share with you, you will be able to read all these other characters and what we think about them. What I will do is come straight to the conclusions that I draw from that. Now, the section.
You can use my camera.
I now begin to relate.
Excuse me. I'll bring a message ne Sacred Heart. Again, go get a good information. Again, go now. They were joining from 17 to 7 p.m. So, one football discussion around. So, they might have to leave one football whatever gets football whatever discussion. I would also beg the one more kind of Kaira Muhari. Doing a discussion.
Okay, so let's speed it up now. I will now bring in the two novels, the two books in the companion library that I mentioned earlier. You know, Achebe's Things Fall Apart and Andrew Rice's The Teeth May Smile, but the Heart Does Not Forget. Listen to this. Things Fall Apart is the debut novel by Nigerian author Chinua Achebe, first published in 1958. It depicts pre-colonial life in the southeastern part of Nigeria and the invasion by Europeans during the late 19th century. It is seen as the archetypal modern African novel in English and one of the first to receive global critical acclaim. It is a staple book in schools throughout Africa and is widely read and studied in English-speaking countries around the world. The novel was first published in the UK in 1962 by William Heinemann Limited and became the first work published in Heinemann's African Writers series. Now, that synopsis is from Wikipedia. What I do now is I will transpose Chinua Achebe for Okot Bitek, Lakta for Things Fall Apart, Southeastern Nigeria for Northern Uganda, and William Heinemann Limited for East African Literature Bureau. And this is what we get. Lakta or White Teeth is a debut novel by Ugandan author and playwright Okot Bitek, first published in 1953. It depicts colonial life in the northern part of Uganda and the impact of European colonialism during the mid-20th century. It should be seen as the archetypal modern Acholi novel in the Acholi language and one of the first to receive critical acclaim in Uganda. It should be a staple book in schools throughout Acholi and be widely read and studied. The novel was first published in Nairobi, Kenya in 1953 by Heinemann Kenya Limited and became the first work from an Acholi published by the defunct East African Literature Bureau, Eagle Press. Now, I did this transposition of Things Fall Apart for Lakta to show the similarities that the two books share, not just in the circumstances of the authors and the publication of their works, but also in the general plots of the two books. These questions are pertinent because, as Christopher Booker, go back a slide. You're going forward. Yeah. As Christopher Booker, author of the 7 basic plots, has described, any story will follow one of 7 different plots. The first one is overcoming the monster, where a protagonist must defeat an antagonist. The second one is rags to riches, where a protagonist achieves something they lack, loses what they have gained, then gets it back again. The third one is the quest, where a protagonist must set out in pursuit of a treasure, place, or other goal, overcoming challenges along the way. The fourth plot is voyage and return, where the protagonist travels to a strange new place, experiences hardships and makes discoveries, and then returns home with the lessons there. The fifth one is comedy. The protagonist experiences a series of light-hearted or confusing events before the story resolves into a happy ending. The sixth plot is tragedy. The protagonist has a central trait of flaw or makes a mistake which results in catastrophe. The final plot line is rebirth. The protagonist undergoes a transformation and often ends up a better person as a result. Now, I tried to plot Bitek's white teeth and found it very hard to plot. On the one hand, you will laugh and think it is comedy. On the other hand, you will find tragedy in it. On the other hand, you will find personal rebirth in it. You will see it as a story of voyage and return. You will see it as a quest for bride wealth. You will see it as a rags to riches or riches to rags story. And you will see it as an attempt to overcome a monster of some kind. So, two of the plots, it's most closely related to two plots. Does it most closely follow plot 3, the quest, or plot 4, the voyage and return? We leave that to discussion. But Bitek's white teeth also leaves us with another set of unanswered questions. And this I thought I would bring out to the discussion here because we have people who may be able to give us more insight in this. The questions are these. Did Bitek and Achebe meet before the year 1958? If so, did Bitek discuss the plot of Lakta with Achebe before 1958? And if so, isn't Things Fall Apart therefore inspired by Lakta? Those are the questions and the discussion in relation to Things Fall Apart. Now let's go to the teeth may smile, but the heart does not forget. On the 21st October, go back a bit. Yeah, that's the author Andrew Rice. On the 21st October 2009, the International Peace Institute's Beyond the Headlines event featured this gentleman, Andrew Rice, who is the author of the book The Teeth May Smile, but the Heart Does Not Forget, Murder and Memory in Uganda. And it also featured a key figure in the book, Duncan Muhumuza Lucky. Go to the next slide. So that is Duncan and Andrew Rice during that event. Warren Hodge, IPI's Vice President and Director of External Relations, introduced the evening's discussion, and this is what he said. In 2000, Duncan Lucky came across a clue to the disappearance of his father, Eliphaz Lucky, a 52-year-old civil servant and regional county chief who had been summarily arrested by henchmen of Idi Amin. Taken from his office and driven away to an unknown location one day in September 1972, he was never again seen alive. He always kept with him a possession of his father's that eventually proved crucial in unlocking the secret of his father's disappearance and death. It was a spare key to his father's Volkswagen. The significance of that possession and how it provided the principal clue is a story I'm going to ask Duncan to tell you himself. The linkage occurred in 1999, and 2 years later, Duncan courageously began a search that led him to a shallow grave and to 3 old soldiers, including Idi Amin's military chief of staff. Then there was a lengthy trial with an ambiguous conclusion. For 4 years, Andrew Rice followed the trial, spent time with Lucky's family, and traveled across Uganda seeking to understand the consequences of Amin's error and the limits of reconciliation. Then Andrew Rice takes up the narrative. Now this is what Andrew Rice says. I really appreciate you having me here, Warren, to talk about my book, and I thought, what does the phrase "that's in the title" mean? I thought that maybe the best way to elucidate that would be just to read a section of the book from which the title is taken. And this begins with a scene of a memorial service, not a funeral, but a memorial service for a man who had disappeared, whose body had never been found. In 1990, and this is the story from the section from the book. In 1990, when Duncan was 28, he decided that the family should hold a memorial service for Eliphaz Lucky. That December, a few days after Christmas, his father's friends and relatives gathered at the farm in Deja. They placed a small stone in the ground near the house Lucky had built for his family. A plaque affixed to it read, Lord, grant us decent rest and disappearance no more. President Yoweri Museveni attended the memorial service. His presence acknowledged a secret and personal debt. Over the years, Lucky's children had come to realize that there was much their father had not revealed to them. He had been involved in the clandestine resistance to Amin's dictatorship. He wasn't a victim, they now knew, but a martyr. He had given his life so that a better future could prevail. In his address to the memorial service, President Museveni praised Lucky as a man of integrity and told those assembled cryptically that there were those who had chosen the other side. Someone had turned Lucky over to Amin. This person or people remained hidden among them. The mourners listened silently. They already knew that Lucky had been betrayed. Laying the stone, Museveni said, would help to mend the wrong that had been done to Lucky. By recognizing how he lived and why he died, the president said, the family had consecrated their father's sacrifice. Perhaps its soul had really found rest. Lucky's children could only pray that was true. The chief's body had never even been recovered. Outwardly, like the country itself.
Somehow people you're trying to lose the track with the relevance with the Lacta there.
I'm bringing it, please. It's
Yeah.
about to end. Yeah. The chief's body had never been recovered. Outwardly, like the country itself, Duncan appeared to be prosperous and at peace. But the people of his Banyankole tribe had a proverb. The teeth may smile, but the heart does not forget. And so, this is what Andrew now says about this passage in the book. As you know, I think that the passage gets at what the central theme of this book is, which is what happens in societies where the natural desire to know the truth about what happened to one's loved ones during times of dictatorship comes into conflict with a sort of larger government policy or societal consensus towards amnesty, reconciliation, and of necessity silence, because oftentimes speaking can disturb the kind of reconciliation that's necessary to achieve peace. Now, he says then that those who know the background of Uganda's history will know why and how a people or a family like Lucky's family would choose to say the teeth may smile, but the heart does not forget. So, to conclude this presentation, and go to the next slide, I will now take a second look at the beginning, at the meaning of white teeth again. Further on, you've gone to back. Yes. In a BBC Future article, one Zaria Govet, that is Zaria Govet, writes, he says there are 19 types of smile, but only 6 are for happiness. Yeah? There are 19 types of smiles, only 6 are for happiness. He says, our grins are not as simple as they seem. They are a myriad different ways to smile, and some of them can conceal some less than happy feelings. Today's reminders to smile are ubiquitous. They're everywhere, printed on fridge magnets, adverts, self-help books, etc. Those who smile often are thought of as more likable, competent, approachable, friendly, and attractive. But the truth is far more sinister. Of the 19 different types of smile, only 6 occur when we are having a good time. The rest happen when we are in pain, embarrassed, uncomfortable, horrified, or even miserable. And a smile may mean contempt, anger, or incredulity that we are lying, or that we have lost. Now she ends by saying, many smiles are polite gestures gestures which demonstrate that we are following the rules, but they can also be an effective way of manipulating others or distracting them from our true feelings. More often than not, the universal symbol of happiness is used as a mask. I'll repeat that. More often than not, the universal symbol of happiness is used as a mask. So as early as 1953, I will argue that Bitek's laughter had already added a 20th type of smile to the BBC's current 19, and we'll call that the white teeth smile. So 3 times and in 3 different synoptical sources in my reading from the companion library to white teeth, I came across the smile or ponyo being used as a mask. So the question is, what is a mask? It is defined as a covering for all or part of the face, worn as a disguise or to amuse or frighten others. Worn as a disguise. We therefore can conclude, thanks to the synoptical reading and the companion library we have delved into, that the real meaning of Bitek's white teeth is a potent message to actually past and present, that we must mask our true feelings and desires if we are to survive, if we are to get by, or if we are to succeed in colonial and post-colonial Uganda alike. Written in the obscurity of the Acholi language, I will even hazard to say Bitek meant us to mask our feelings when engaging with outsiders in all their forms. Okay? So the real meaning of Lakta, Wahinyero, Wilobo is therefore Kanmungi Kiponyo, Nyot Lak Mata, or hide your true feelings behind the mask of a smile and show white teeth. Thank you very much.
Okot to try. Okot to try. I'm sure only one way we understand English. Then let one of my don't get dirty. You get more kind of part. Okay. Before I'm done at it, invented one of the victims. Spent kind of new lock in the level children of our trial. Jack for the level children. You take it down my bedroom. What don't you want to come up for you? May Yapui lock one, Atamo, a dead professor. Get back a yard book any. In being any, in a bed child and your book any. Again, one of my quan by the time one of the co-op of Bitek, get my nanny what. In an laughter any. Made Kilop, whatever anyway.
You do. Mira dear, the inong chick of your can as a moderator. You are teaching my, yeah. In the morning anyway, can get a year down. More better kind, so I can say, in the morning. Back in morning. Apoyo, I don't belong a level to about lemon rain out don't. They were lemon do rain shower. Apoyo lock by Tevere, Aerolog, lock my pole. Mu ponyo wa pony ma be tam yero an near more a bit contracting and biro pony lutiena biro be lutian makwan literature kainen go wagi tie bene kan mukene mangeyo lok melakta wood yo mokwano unero kit ma ana choy ka eni e lok mo man nok choy ni ngo la kwong Magi choy la kwong ka nero G ne any G ma chon ne pe dong ti NG dong mer gin ma nyen la kwong ti G ki komene lakta ana kwano leba choli ma ana ngeyu ma ana logo ene leba choli ma ki ponya kwere ki gang la dit mo ner a kan wani en ko ki cha ponya ki kwano le ko cher kwere nen charo ando kona kwano chono twalia nyugo ka kwano ngei ma pe kwano ko kwan enone geno miu aponyo leba chuli ene dong mati makere mwaka aliwechel ki mia bier piera mia bier 1972 ma atiga timo research chi atimo anori dok mira cho a translator nariko transcribing kao ugonya dok leva chuli. I felt very insulted. Achako ponyo leva chuli ite kwano jiri leva chuli komera choi leva chuli logo be leva chuli endo leva chuli ma ana logo kai won jomo kano nero dictionary pa Professor Donga one one kweni eno cho i dictionary luo dictionary ni leva chuli ma any choi ni leva chuli ma any logo pingo kai wai a logo leva chuli chi ma nyuri ngei le dialect so li weng ma ia chuli wa nena wai ni wa mietri lok me a chuli leva chuli a chuli language boy to wa chon wai di leva donge goro pa an pegi luo ka ma kone but it is okay wa mietri wa dok ye so lakta ma ana kwano leva chuli dok ba kwano man me le mono me lo mono ni apunya book en ni university ento ma leva chuli ni an ma anachika yubne wa ni konya chola kwong chuo kwano wa choyo wa yobo gin ma la diru logo lok ma pol ma bejo ma peabi doga ye wa ka chak kon ki ma gikne ma eno cha lok koma chebe geno kot ni chebe geno kot ko rwate pe a chebe kwano buk bu kot pe a chebe ko rwate geno kot imwaka ali bechel mia bichel ali bechel mia bungwen pier bechel wario ma ko rwate a conference African literature conference mubere makere mageluo African writers achebe notie showing ka ginotie kijo mokene ku kot otie ikinge ma uberiye ene ka kenyu okot okwano gin mano eno choyo i book madong bi komberite na der kwa yi dong lo le piera ngwen arngeni ti karo mokene we para weno o lo le mono okwano conference enoni mumio dano chako miri baroter mo ada ngwen mokene mano pe ki choyo enone meno lokpa la weno so geni penye ni agamo ukot kari no ukot ruat gena achebe pe no penye le bachuli dok bene lakta no pe ki logo lakta donguti mo la chen mego tiu bir en maka madong very very recent tigene perwate doge upenyo mokene ni buki eni ma kichoi ni tiro lok ma pol ukwano plus marama biro si ana a ye lok ma ena wajo lok mo wajo me a dek plot ma dek quest ki me a ngwen voyage ukot wone jebedayo pi no beri la boko dodo ma ngeyo dodo ma pol miro kot serina la chwe la weno punyo kot ki we para weno o kot chako chono ne no punyo igulu egene kakai no punyo pong duo eni o chako per chone lakta o kot chako chono ne o ai kom we mu kot choyo chana darngeyo kakwenda waje we ka wane mego Elizabeth ki won pol dar mu ngey ket me wer ne o kot no ti kwano buto ukot uchono nyaka chuli peda bilonye mabe mira deda ento nyaka di uchai ukot in mala chan woro charo tiang ene kwa kwere kitawni in lewi pemare me chaka yabu dogini mira nyaka di ukwer ukot chunyo chue uchere rome di woni enoni uchoyo chana mo we bandong kina eno timo eno belia lugo na amachon kati lok mo maka chunyi chero berka gono nane berka ponyo weni enuni we go tem gonyo chunyi ka ini kwano horn of my love ino korcho kenyo ni actually ini kene piera ngwen ma aliwe cheli piera amia bungani piera ngwen o kwerwa piera biki wie gini no peke ye lutiana wobe me gono na pingo kelugi mukene kelugi chwe itene ho so center me lakta ekidama ananian kwere eno a ki kumweni enoni okot uchoy book lakta dong warga ni o bodi ni maki latini do ronyo warga lok do binu latini la cho warga binu ye ni ene choyo so apora me kina chuli ilangi po chakatin medo dok yumu kwa pong do yen wani kariwa magin yami kwano nudong dok ene tie in the 50s nudong lok dong tie and the wanu nge historically uchaka chon chuli gilwo langini wiru we mani weni wa ma me pura langi no chuli ugai madong ni ene tie kwe but eno ni perwen eti book lakta so ginma poyu wiwa gino berga time jan mukida no nge dong kwa rieme ki teach on ki kwanye ki beru nyampara eno ki wero eno berga teach ukeja future ki wiedong sa example dong pe ukeja future ki wie ni endo cho chiling mudong je me berga wele chwal ka chero kop berga chwal chene mo kwan ki minani puri dong chiling munyo endo yini no pamiyo chene ukeja utiyu ki riego me nyoli magino kwati wani dan weng kari po roy kene te class kati yaka nyoli tie ikwo and that's very key in young iti te tichu ukeja ukeja ti muchuar le weng madu no ni ori no chen mo mana nare ukeja gina ma again gina pire tek matini ukeja wani ane ye achone ka teach kan dok ane bene aromo weko teach kilok ma eno weko konyo nen ngaren konyo nen ni one achiel one actually mirwa bed achiel kaka moy ken ma watie mirwa konye arabe South Africa imwaga ma pol chopier yo dina actually mu por pero moge ken wakero chingwai kome wakonyo then it later on while expanding latin Uganda moge ken muko no pero wakero chingwai achiel bilo achiel ni one achiel makumbe di eni dong pe nera lo kan wai lok me actually language board you know where tone pingo pe well lok mani wana cheli pitite ko to long kumbe di unfortunate endo ti lo aga so ukeja uyele no chene matikwere ucha word me binu menu dong ine lo complot ukeja kano bino ki yoma eno tamni ene bin kweni no mer wo ki jinja bede dugi Kampala unge yere me Kampala kitororo yeah wo ki jinja bino tororo find the eastern road bino tuitwa ki gano do ngwejo no ukele bagulu ento gumaraj pepe gumaraj umero riako pa church umero ne ukeja utie lok ma eno cherieni wot ukeja utiutum ukeja o station pingo luya woki kintiang polo yo ngeni ki makeo kake makano ki dwaka chen ba dok beno ki tweyo ma o ga dong chera ukeja dong petike dio mo pe twer beri te ga kenyi ri koni nyampara mukene binu noe o ero morka binu Kampala o wero jemene geta mo welo kot la go geta be gere tikan Professor Elizabeth tikan koni te ka no ten tidu kam kor konye go geta ponyi ki borge no enbere go hoge ukeja tigi geta nigi chan do ki jemine mado du endo mut cher ka welo tiri bas me binu dong lu ko lu loke koni eno chaka wa chon be dok titien martin ngolo jefa ukeja no timo chero wan jomo kenne dan rako chene chokchi no pe boro keja uko ichiling ichoro wale ka ro choro wal mukene we ento la ume pe ungwe kanya chene tie ungolo kwanyo chene ko keja pengeyo chene mo wele tiri o irbas o masini madong mer kube me biru gang chene dong none dong chene pe je ma polo time won kwan boku ngeyo geno time ukeja dong cheleng pe o no lu wor mo ken matiga chero gang nyo mo ken matiga binu beti ngare mo ma mero konyo keja kuno put bina la wor mo mandom tiga dog gang o mi pala ko keja man pala gwoki kumi an ma chere South Africa ki penye ni pala ni ti kwene ano e para na pe ero in pe la choka pal ni pe I will la para ki mina ni cho wen mi ini be di para ni eno ni kunyi me chamo riu bula dok kunyi ka lwen chi ki para mano ki mer make o keja o chago wot ki o pienu no marka o kele o chago don wot ki tiene naga utugo gang mano tiego protini ni o keja o chiero ka yinyo teach a quest ento bedo timugena ngo a voyager ento udugu ma dogola chan nena wayo keja a ki gang ki chile ngali piera dek o keja duwe ngo la bon chene o binu michan kama o kot o ruate o keja mauniang story po keja so story po keja unodong ti wi o kot ento gina piera dek ene lakta puonyo wa ni wan ludira choli wan wati economy manyen ento mier pe wa ngap wel nyom uchet maro la ten nyao me budo kwero kot ni kot la ten pala chan eno koro chini an abitegi bitek abitege dotek doga kona biloke which is true you know to make kot so basically my own reading of lakta Babi doka ma eno aka ma bo ka biro am ki bo chawa na dong ben timarai o kot o choi buki eni me pono wiwa anyway lakta miyo gi nyer wi lobo ini lok ma pol lok different smiles ento o kot ben o kero smiles jumu kwano song of malaya gingeyo there's a whole chapter yene ma ke song of malaya the different smiles mama lai gitiyo kwere da juwa ni malai bangi kani ene leba churi ma gitiyo kwere wai kad la lonyo biro bon kete ene dala chano biro bon kete ene ma mio reo dala tin kwano biro iperi boy you know bon ma do